Have you ever felt like you're walking down a long, unfamiliar road with no map or guide? It's easy to feel lost, unsure of where to go next. But when you walk with God, it's like having the best guide by your side. Imagine a trusted friend walking with you, gently pointing you in the right direction, always there to help when you stumble. That's what walking with God is like. His direction isn't like a GPS that might run out of battery or lose signal. His guidance is constant, steady, and reliable. You never have to worry about getting lost because he goes before you, preparing the way. Just like the Israelites in the wilderness, when they couldn't see where they were going, God provided them with a pillar of cloud by day and fire by night, showing them the way. When you let God lead, your path becomes clear, and your steps are ordered with purpose. He won't let you wander aimlessly. Trust that he is lighting your way, and you will find security in his presence. Question for you, Astros. Have you ever felt God guiding you when you weren't sure which way to go? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear how God has led you in your life. Life has a way of throwing curveballs, doesn't it? Sometimes we face challenges that seem impossible to overcome. But when you walk with God, even the impossible becomes possible. Think of the impossible situations in your life. The ones that seemed so daunting you didn't know where to begin. Now imagine, in the middle of those moments, God steps in and transforms your reality. It's like trying to lift a boulder with your own strength. But with God's help, that boulder moves effortlessly. And what seemed like an insurmountable mountain becomes a small hill to climb. When you walk with him, every obstacle becomes an opportunity for his power to show. The impossible becomes possible not because of our abilities, but because we're walking alongside a mighty, loving God who has a plan for us. The God who parted the Red Sea is still the same God who's walking beside you today, making a way even when there seems to be no way. Tell us, Astros, what is one thing you thought was impossible but found God's help in? Let us know in the comments, and let's encourage each other. Life can be overwhelming, especially when decisions pile up and you don't know which one to make. We often hear people say, trust your instincts, but what if your instincts feel unsure? That's where God steps in as your trustworthy guide. Walking with God is like having the wisest, most loving guide you could ask for. You don't have to figure it all out on your own. Just as you would follow a seasoned traveler on a long hike, knowing they know the safest and best path, walking with God gives you the same assurance. He's not leading you into uncertainty or confusion, but into his perfect plan for your life. As it says in Jeremiah chapter 10 verse 23, it is not in man who walks to direct his own steps. God knows where you should go, and when you trust him, he'll help you make the right decisions. Question for you, Asterisk. Do you trust God's guidance in your life? What decision are you trusting him with today? Share below, and let's lift each other up in prayer. In life, we all face moments of fear, don't we? Whether it's fear of the unknown, fear of failure, or fear of losing someone we love, fear can feel overwhelming. But here's the good news. When you walk with God, fear has no place in your heart. Picture walking on a dark, stormy night alone. How frightening that would be. But imagine now, walking through that same storm with a close friend who promises to protect you. That's what walking with God is like. No matter how fierce the storm, he is your shelter. Psalm chapter 125 verse 1 tells us, those who trust in the Lord are like Mount Zion, which cannot be moved. When you walk with God, you are standing firm on solid ground, no matter what comes your way. The world may bring uncertainty, but with God, you are anchored. You will not be shaken because he holds you steady. What's something that you've overcome with God's strength? Leave a comment, and let's encourage one another by sharing how he's helped us stand strong. Sometimes, no matter how hard we try, certain doors just won't open, no matter how much we push. But here's a beautiful truth. When you walk with God, his favor opens doors that no one can shut. Think about it like this. Imagine you've tried every key in your possession to open a door, but nothing works. Then, God hands you the master key, the one that opens every door effortlessly. That's what his favor is like. It's not about working harder or striving more. It's about trusting God's perfect timing and His divine favor to make things happen. Revelation chapter 3 verse 8 says, "I know your works. See, I have set before you an open door, and no one can shut it." When God opens a door for you, no one can block it. His favor positions you where you need to be, and no obstacle can stand in the way of His plan. Have you seen God open doors in your life that you couldn't open yourself? Share your story below and let's celebrate the favor of God together. Life can be unpredictable, and sometimes it feels like everything is uncertain. But when you walk with God, you gain an unshakable confidence that comes from knowing He is in control. Think of the strongest tree in the forest, standing tall in the midst of a storm. That tree might bend, but it doesn't break. When your life is rooted in God, you become like that tree, strong, steady, and unshaken by the storms of life. Psalm chapter 125 verse 1 reminds us that those who trust in the Lord are like Mount Zion, which cannot be moved but abides forever. Your confidence comes not from your own strength, but from the one who holds you. With God, you are not fragile. You are secure, and His presence ensures you will not fall. How has God given you confidence to stand firm? Share your thoughts with us below, and let's lift each other up in His strength. Life often feels like a series of hurdles, doesn't it? You're walking along, making progress, when suddenly, a barrier appears in your way. Whether it's an illness, a financial setback, or an emotional struggle, these obstacles can feel impossible to overcome. But when you walk with God, He clears the path for you. Think of it like driving through a snowstorm with a plow ahead of you. The snow might be heavy, but the plow breaks through, making the road clear and safe. God does the same thing for you. He removes the barriers that stand in your way, whether they're visible or invisible. When you walk with Him, obstacles are no longer something to fear. He is clearing the way, making rough places smooth, and leading you through every challenge. You don't have to handle it alone. He goes before you, making sure you can continue moving forward. Question asked us, have you ever seen God clear a path for you when you felt stuck? Share your experience with us in the comments, and let's encourage each other. Sometimes we find ourselves stuck in the present, unsure of what's to come next. We worry about the future, our health, our family, our careers, and wonder how everything will turn out. But the beautiful thing about walking with God is that He already knows what lies ahead. It's like walking with someone who has already been down the road you're on. They know what turns to expect, where the bumps are, and where the road gets smooth. With God by your side, you don't have to worry about the unknown because He holds your future. Jeremiah chapter 29 verse 11 reminds us, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope." God's plan for your life is filled with purpose, and He's already preparing the way ahead of you. No matter what the future holds, He will guide you through it. Tell us, Astros, what are you trusting God with in your future? Let us know in the comments, and let's pray for each other's futures. When life doesn't go as planned, it's easy to become frustrated. We wonder, why is this happening now? Or, why isn't this working out yet? But walking with God means trusting His timing, which is always perfect. It's like planting a seed and waiting for it to grow. You can't rush it. You can water it, take care of it, but the seed needs time to grow into something beautiful. God's timing works the same way. He knows exactly when the right moment is. It's not always when we want, but it's always when we need. Isaiah chapter 55 verses 8 to 9 tells us, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord." We may not understand God's timing, but we can trust that it's always for our good. Question asterisk, have you ever experienced God's perfect timing in your life? Share your story with us in the comments. In life, we often feel the need to make decisions on our own. We might try to map out our future or make the best choices based on what we see right in front of us. But when we walk with God, we're assured that the path He leads us on is the best one. His path is full of peace, purpose, and guidance. Imagine standing at a crossroad in your life, unsure of which way to go. It's like having a guide who knows exactly where each road leads. When you walk with God, you don't have to choose blindly. His word lights the way, and he helps you make decisions that lead you closer to his will. Proverbs chapter 3 verses 5-6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths." Tell us, Asterisk, how has God's guidance helped you make decisions in your life? Comment below and share how trusting him has led you to the right path. Obeying God may not always be easy, but it's always worth it. There will be moments when you feel like stepping away from the path he has set for you. But remember, walking in obedience to God is where true victory lies. It's like following a recipe. If you skip a step, the result won't be as delicious. When you follow God's instructions, he leads you to victory in ways that are far greater than anything you could achieve on your own. As it says in Deuteronomy chapter 28 verses 1-2, "If you faithfully obey the voice of the Lord your God, all these blessings shall come upon you and overtake you." God's victories are not just about material success. They're about peace, joy, and living in alignment with his will. Question asterisk, what victory has God brought into your life through obedience? Share your testimony with us in the comments. In today's fast-paced world, we often feel the pressure to rush through life. We want things to happen quickly and can get frustrated when they don't. But when you walk with God, you don't need to rush. Trust the journey. It's like a slow, scenic drive. You're meant to enjoy every moment along the way. God doesn't want you to hurry through life. He wants you to experience his love, his guidance, and his peace in every step. He has a plan for you, and that plan unfolds perfectly in his time. Psalm chapter 27 verse 14 encourages us, "Wait for the Lord, be strong, and let your heart take courage." Wait for the Lord. When you walk with God, patience becomes a key ingredient in your journey. What part of your journey do you need to trust God with today? Let us know in the comments, and let's encourage each other in our walk with God. It's natural to want to handle things on your own, especially when life gets tough. But when you walk with God, you realize that you don't have to rely on yourself. You don't have to have all the answers or figure everything out. Walking with God means letting go of the need to control everything and trusting that he is in control. Think about it like sailing a boat. You can't always control the wind, but you can trust that the captain will steer the ship to the right destination. When you trust God, you allow him to steer your life. He'll guide you with his wisdom, and you won't have to struggle with self-reliance. Isaiah chapter 40 verse 29 says, "He gives power to the faint, and to him who has no might he increases strength." Question asterisk, where do you need to let go and trust God today? Share your thoughts with us in the comments. Storms are inevitable, aren't they? Life's challenges come at us unexpectedly, leaving us feeling tossed about. But when you walk with God, you are protected in the midst of those storms. It's like a house built on a solid foundation. It may sway with the wind, but it won't fall. When life's storms come, God's protection keeps you steady. Psalm chapter 91 verse 4 says, "He will cover you with his pinions, and under his wings you will find refuge." No matter how intense the storm, God is your refuge. You don't have to fear the winds of life, because God is keeping you safe in his arms. Tell us, asterisk, how has God protected you during a storm in your life? Leave a comment and share your testimony of his protection. There are times in life when we feel like we've done everything right, yet doors still remain closed. But when you walk with God, he opens doors that no one can shut. Imagine knocking on a door that won't open, no matter how hard you try. Now picture God opening that door with a key you didn't even know you had. That's the favor of God. Revelation chapter 3 verse 8 reminds us, "I have set before you an open door, and no one can shut it." God's favor positions you where you need to be, even when others try to block your way. With God on your side, there's no door that remains closed for long. Question asterisk, what doors has God opened in your life that you couldn't open on your own? Share your story below. There's something incredibly comforting about knowing you're not facing life alone. When you walk with God, you gain unshakable confidence. It's like standing on a rock in the middle of a storm. You might feel the winds, but you know you're safe. Psalm chapter 125 verse 1 says, "Those who trust in the Lord are like Mount Zion, which cannot be moved." Walking with God means you have the strength and security to face anything life throws at you. No matter what happens, you are grounded in His love, His guidance, and His power. How has God given you the confidence to face life's challenges? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's lift each other up. Life often presents us with many choices, and at times, we may feel overwhelmed by them. But when we walk with God, we don't need to make these choices alone. God's path for us is always the right one, even if it feels uncertain or difficult at times. Imagine being in a forest with many different trails, not sure which one will lead you to safety. Now imagine having someone with a map guiding you every step of the way. That's what walking with God is like. He knows where each path leads, and He promises to guide you along the best road. In Psalm chapter 23 verse 3, it says, "He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for His name's sake." Trust that His path is always filled with purpose, even when it doesn't make sense in the moment. Question asked us, have you ever experienced God's path leading you to something better than you expected? Share your story in the comments below. Following God isn't always the easiest path, but it's the path to victory. Many times in life, we can be tempted to take shortcuts or follow our own understanding, especially when it seems easier. But when we obey God's commands, He leads us to victory that surpasses anything we could achieve on our own. It's like following a recipe to bake a perfect cake. Every step matters, and each instruction brings us closer to the finished product. Proverbs chapter 3 verses 1 to 2 encourages us, "My son, do not forget my teaching, but let your heart keep my commandments. For length of days and years of life and peace they will add to you." God's victory isn't just about success. It's about peace and joy in following His will. Tell us, asterisk, how has obeying God brought you peace and victory in your life? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to want everything to happen immediately. We want answers, results, and breakthroughs now. But God's timing is perfect, and His journey for us unfolds step by step. Think of a flower slowly blooming. If you rush the process, it may never reach its full beauty. The same is true in life. God's purpose for you is unfolding beautifully at just the right time. In Isaiah chapter 40 verse 31, it says, "But they who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint." Trust that God is working in you, even when it feels like progress is slow. Question asterisk, how can you embrace God's timing in your life today? Let us know in the comments, and let's encourage each other to trust His plan. It's natural to want to take charge of our own lives. But when we walk with God, we realize that we don't have to rely solely on our own strength. Self-reliance can often leave us exhausted and frustrated, but trusting in God's power provides us with the strength to overcome any challenge. Imagine trying to carry a heavy load by yourself. Eventually, you'll tire out. But if someone helps you carry the load, the journey becomes much easier. That's what walking with God does for us. As it says in Matthew chapter 11 verses 28 to 30, "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls." God promises to help us carry life's burdens. Tell us, asterisk, in what area of your life do you need to rely more on God today? Share your thoughts with us below. We all face storms in life, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual. But when we walk with God, we can be assured that we are protected, no matter how fierce the storm. Just like a child running to their parents when they're scared, we can run to God for refuge. In Psalm chapter 46 verses 1 to 2, it says, "God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear. Walking with God doesn't mean we won't face difficulties, but it does mean that He will be with us through every trial. His protection is a shield around us, keeping us safe and steady. Question asterisk: how has God protected you during a difficult time? Share your story below, and let's support one another through the storms of life. When God is walking with you, He opens doors that no one can shut. Life can sometimes feel like a series of closed doors, but when God's favor is upon you, He makes a way where there seems to be no way. Think of it like a key that unlocks a door. No matter how many doors are in front of you, when God gives you the key, every door will open. Revelation chapter 3 verse 8 tells us, "I know your works. See, I have set before you an open door, and no one can shut it." God's favor goes before you, opening doors that bring opportunities, blessings, and peace. Tell us, Esther, have you seen God open doors in your life that you didn't think were possible? Share with us in the comments. When you walk with God, you gain confidence that doesn't waver. Life may throw challenges your way, but with God by your side, you stand firm, unshaken. It's like building a house on a rock rather than on sand. No matter how strong the wind blows, the house stands firm. Psalm chapter 125 verse 1 says, "Those who trust in the Lord are like Mount Zion, which cannot be moved." When your confidence is rooted in God's strength, you don't have to fear the future, because you know that He is with you every step of the way. Question asterisk: how has God given you unshakable confidence in your life? Let us know in the comments, and let's lift each other up with encouragement. God's guidance, strength, and favor lead you to purpose and blessings. Esther's walking with God changes everything. It's not just about surviving life. It's about thriving in His love, guidance, and favor. He leads you to places of purpose, victory, and blessings that no one can take away. You are never alone when you walk with Him. He is your guide, your protector, and your provider. His love surrounds you, His strength upholds you, and His favor opens doors before you. Join this community of faith and love as we walk with God together. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below, and let's continue encouraging one another to walk confidently in His purpose. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this message with others who need encouragement today. How has walking with God changed your life? Share with us in the comments. In life, we often try to handle everything ourselves, thinking we must rely on our own strength to get through. But when you walk with God, you realize that His strength is greater than anything we could muster on our own. It's like trying to lift a heavy burden with your own two hands when God is offering to help carry it. His strength doesn't run out, and His support is always there when we need it. Philippians chapter 4 verse 13 says, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." When we walk with God, He equips us with the strength to face every challenge. We don't need to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. Instead, we can rest in His strength and let Him guide us through life's difficulties. Question: in what area of your life do you need to rely more on God's strength today? Let us know in the comments, and let's lift each other up. The world can be a chaotic place, whether it's the busyness of daily life, the unpredictability of the future, or the storms of personal challenges. It's easy to feel overwhelmed. But when you walk with God, His peace comes into your heart and calms the storms. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm, feeling the wind and rain, and yet you remain calm because you are sheltered under God's protection. John chapter 14 verse 27 tells us, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you." Walking with God brings a peace that surpasses understanding, allowing you to find rest even in the most turbulent times. Tell us, how has God's peace helped you through a chaotic moment? Share your experience with us in the comments below. As we journey through life, we often try to plan everything ourselves. We make decisions based on what seems best at the time, but God's plan for us is always better than our own. Walking with God means trusting that His plan is for our good, even when we can't see the full picture. It's like a child trusting their parent to make decisions for them, even when they don't understand why certain things are happening. Proverbs chapter 19 verse 21 reminds us, "Many are the plans in the mind of a man, but it is the purpose of the Lord that will stand." Trusting God's plan takes faith, but it brings peace knowing that He is leading us to something greater than we could ever imagine. Have you ever seen God's plan unfold in your life in a way that was better than you expected? Share your story in the comments below. Life's challenges can leave us feeling wounded, both physically and emotionally. But when we walk with God, He brings healing to those broken places. Think of it like a balm soothing a wound. It may take time, but God's healing is always gentle, complete, and restorative. Whether it's a physical illness, a broken heart, or a wounded spirit, God is there to heal and restore. In Psalm chapter 147 verse 3, it says, "He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds." Walking with God means that we don't have to face our pain alone. He is with us, offering healing and comfort. Tell us, how has God brought healing into your life? Share your testimony in the comments and let's encourage one another with His healing power. One of the most comforting truths about walking with God is knowing that His love surrounds you. No matter what you go through, His love is always there to support you. It's like being wrapped in a warm blanket on a cold night. His love provides comfort and security, and it never fades. In Romans chapter 8 verses 38 to 39, we are reminded that neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, neither the present nor the future, will be able to separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus our Lord. Walking with God means living in the constant embrace of His love, which never fails. How have you experienced God's love surrounding you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Even in the midst of difficulties, when you walk with God, you experience a joy that the world cannot offer. It's not a fleeting happiness based on circumstances. It's a deep, unshakable joy that comes from knowing you are loved and cared for by your Heavenly Father. In Psalm chapter 16 verse 11, it says, "You make known to me the path of life. In your presence there is fullness of joy." Walking with God fills your heart with joy, no matter what's happening around you. His presence brings a joy that is steadfast and enduring. Tell us, how has walking with God brought joy into your life? Share with us in the comments below, and let's spread joy together. One of the most beautiful things about walking with God is that He walks with you every single day. You're never alone in your journey. Whether it's in the quiet moments or during the storms, God is there, guiding and supporting you. In Isaiah chapter 41 verse 10, it says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." Knowing that God is with you every step of the way brings a peace and confidence that can't be found anywhere else. How have you felt God's presence with you today? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below, and let's celebrate His constant companionship. Walking with God means walking in victory. You're not just going through life trying to survive. When you walk with God, He leads you to victory. No matter what challenges you face, His victory is already promised. It's like being in a race where the outcome is already determined. You don't need to fear the obstacles because you know the end result. Romans chapter 8 verse 37 tells us, "No, in all these things we are more than conquerors through Him who loved us." Walking with God means that you will overcome every obstacle, and in the end, you will be victorious. Tell us, what victory have you experienced while walking with God? Share in the comments and let's celebrate together. No matter what happens in life, God's faithfulness remains constant. You can always count on Him to keep His promises, even when things seem uncertain. Just like a parent who keeps their word, God is always faithful to His children. In Lamentations chapter 3 verses 22 to 23, it says, "The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness." Walking with God means walking in the assurance that His faithfulness will never fail you. How have you experienced God's faithfulness in your life? Let's share stories of His steadfast love in the comments below. In life, we all face moments of sadness, grief, and loss. But when you walk with God, His presence brings comfort to your soul. It's like a child seeking comfort from a parent when they're scared or upset. God is always there to provide peace and healing in the hardest moments. Psalm chapter 34 verse 18 reminds us, "The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit." Walking with God means that no matter what you face, His presence will comfort and restore you. Tell us, how has God's presence comforted you in your life? Share your story below, and let's encourage each other with His peace and comfort. Walking with God changes everything. Walking with God transforms every area of your life. His guidance, love, strength, and favor lead you to purpose, joy, and victory. No matter what challenges come your way, God's presence and protection are always with you. Keep trusting Him and keep walking with Him, because with God by your side, anything is possible. We would love for you to be a part of our loving community. Share your thoughts and experiences with us in the comments. Like and subscribe to stay connected. And let's walk together with God toward a brighter future.